Commission Chambers, this day, April 27th, 2022, we are going to get started with our proclamations, our recognitions. I'm running a little late today. You ready?
Yes, I am.
Come on.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We start with yours if you would like.
Okay. We are going to start today. Today is Infertility Awareness Day. And we are recognizing the South Florida Fertility Expo presented by Memorial Family Birthplace. Can we have you guys come forward? Where are you? Well, never say just and me in the same sentence. Come on up. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. The City of Miami proclamation for whereas South Florida Fertility Expo presented by Memorial Family Birthplace was established in 2016 as an event that provides support and compassion for persons and families on their fertility journey with much needed resources, community, and professional expertise. And whereas this event takes place during National Fertility Awareness Week that enhances public understanding that infertility needs and deserves attention, ensure that people trying to build a family know the guidelines for seeing a specialist, educate lawmakers about how infertility impacts people in their state, and whereas it is fitting and proper during South Florida Fertility Expo and on every day to recognize the tremendous sacrifices and pain that individuals endure in their desire to have a family in the city of Miami, and whereas South Florida Fertility Expo recognizes statistics that 1 in 8 persons are living with impaired fertility, and that for every 100 fertile 30-year-old women trying to get pregnant in one cycle, only 20% will be successful using natural methods. The remaining 80% will have to try again. And whereas South Florida Fertility Expo recognizes that Black and Hispanic women are almost twice as likely to experience impaired fertility than white women, and studies suggest seek medical help for it as much as enhance suffering in silence. Whereas Saturday, April 30th, is a day where individuals navigating impaired fertility should no longer feel that need to suffer in silence, but seek to be empowered, build a strong community, and think about others who are having similar experiences. And whereas South Florida Fertility Expo is an opportunity to encourage empathy, knowledge, and understanding towards persons in their private and intimate journey towards solutions in family. And now, therefore, our mayor, Francis Xavier Suarez, of the City of Miami, by virtue of the present official document, designates the week of April 30th as Infertility Awareness Day. Would you like to say something?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Commissioner King. And the City of Miami, my name is Michelle McCoy, and I am the founder of the South Florida Fertility Expo. And we are in our 5th year of providing resources and information for those on their fertility journey. We'd like to thank you for the recognition, and we'll continue our community service.
You're welcome.
I'm going to be a little bit off script, and I think I've seen a number of second graders and some that have come to visit their dad or mom at work. And I think it would be a good transition while we just talked about infertility. So if you're here, come up so we can take a picture with, as somebody described, the little presidents. Please join us. Everybody come over. Round of applause for our heroes here. Come on, come on. Okay, guys, come on, come on, come on. We want to at least, you get a chance to hold the microphone and say your name. Say it loud, say it proud. Come on, please, please. Anybody else? Do we have anybody else in the audience? Come on. No, okay. You're kind of older. Come on. Try to, Scott, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay, I think, okay, we have one more. I think we got everybody. Okay, I would like to get name and age. Okay, I'm going to start ladies first. Here we go.
Tiffany Betancourt, 15.
Nico Sanchez, 12.
Dominic Sanchez, 8. Alexander Traviesas, 10.
Melody Villa, 11.
Brielle Williams, 9.
Benjamin Espino, 8 years old.
Jude Steers, 8.
Manolo Reyes.
Manolo Reyes, many years.
I have to make everything hilarious.
Thank you for joining. You have some amazing parents that brought you today, and I hope you stick around so you can see local government in action and enjoy some of our day. Thank you for joining us. Round of applause for all our future. Smile. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Barbie. So moving right along, we have the City of Miami Fire Rescue Communications Division, the Alarm Office, and we also have the City of Miami Police Department. Those are the officials, members, when you call 911, those are the ones that actually pick up the phone call and try to assist you in a very difficult and challenging time. I would like for them to all come up, and I'm looking at them, so if you can, I know if you've moved back, you moved front, but let's bring you up here. A round of applause, please. Thank you. You're getting a workout in today, I told you. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Try to squish over as much as possible. We're a big group. They're also coming? Yeah. Oh, they're part of the group. Okay, they're part of the family. I like that. Okay. So one of the things that I wanted to highlight is how do you do what you do on a daily basis? And I asked, and I was told the amount of training that the officials here have is rather incredible, and the department's distinction is also incredible. So I'll read a little bit of the amount of work that they have to do before they can actually pick up the phone calls. All fire rescue emergency dispatchers and supervisors are certified by the Florida Department of Health as 911 public safety telecommunicators. All new hires must complete a 640-hour state-certified in-house training course and pass a state exam in order to achieve their initial PST certification. So thank you for that commitment. That's 640 hours of the in-house training. And then it goes on to further training and their certification on a yearly basis. But I also wanted to mention and highlight that in January 10, 2020, the City of Miami Fire Rescue Department became the longest certified medical ACE agency in the world at 21 years, second only to Colorado Springs, which I'm sure we're going to do better. Maybe it's just a longevity matter, who's recertified November 5th, 2029. And right now they're preparing for the ACE reaccreditation again this year. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't know if the fire chief or the police chief would like to say. Yeah.
That's phenomenal. Good morning. I'm going to ask the police chief to say a few words in a second. Our communications dispatchers, our call takers, are some of the unsung heroes of the police department and the fire department. They work tirelessly. We receive, between both departments, over 500,000 calls that come into the communications center, calls for service every year. And if you've seen recently on the news, some of the issues going on in Broward where they've had over 15,000 calls unanswered, where they're short 90 call takers and dispatchers. It is an extremely difficult job. It places these men and women under a tremendous amount of stress. And just to be able to do their job takes a very, very special person. And that's why it's so important to recognize the men and women here today, because of the work that they do. Many times, most of the time, we recognize our firefighters and our police officers who are out on the street doing an amazing job. But these are the people behind the scenes without which none of this would happen. So from us, from the fire department, and again, I'll ask the police chief to speak in a moment, we can't say enough about the important role that they play in our organization and how critical they are to all of you, the community that we serve. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And that's why he's the fire chief. Wow. So by far, being a dispatcher, in my humble opinion, is a lot more difficult than being a police officer. When you're out there on the streets, you're able to use all your senses. When you're a dispatcher, you can imagine feeling the anxiety, the stress of only being able to communicate via the landline or the phone as you're a call taker, and you hear the desperation sometimes in the voices of those victims in our community that need our help. So they are the true first responders. They are the voice in the dark that lay the voice to those who are unable to speak for themselves. So on behalf of the Miami Police and the men and women of the sworn department, they are an integral part of our department. Thank you very much for all you do. Thank you for leading us in the right direction. God bless you.
If I can get the assistance, so before we take the picture, you'll have the honor of holding the proclamation. Fire Chief, that's okay with you? Okay, and maybe you can move just a little bit, snitch over here. Actually, right, here.
Under the seal.
Toquecito, un toquecito. Porque ahora no se puede tocar a nadie. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Okay, picture time then. Let's sneak over here. Oh, where's the, oh, here we go. Yeah, it's a big. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Oh. Okay, this is a bit of a challenge. Huh? No, 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 no. See you. See you. Congratulations, guys. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We have, yes, that one came in.
Oh, that's for one,
Surprise.
but that's one for the same thing?
No, that's the one for each individual, but I just want to.
The same,
Yes, yes, it is. Yes,
okay,
yes,
not-
yes. No, no, correct. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. If I can, yeah, of course, yeah. Good morning, right here, okay. If I can ask Quatisha and Ace to come up, please. Both of you look so lovely with that mask. Yeah, well. You did something bad and so everybody has been asking, why do I have a beautiful flower with me? And the reason is because we're going to honor today Arbor Day, and I thought it would be appropriate for our building officials that deal with that particular permit to come up and to be recognized and to, why else, give a beautiful flower. So please, round of applause, please. Thank you. Good to see you again. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Yes, yes. I wanted the professional to do it because I know I always. Oh, actually, you do know. So Arbor Day was the 1872 brainchild of Mr. Morton and is now an international event that envisions the creation of a green society and fosters environment-friendly initiatives that ensure livable communities for generations to come. Arbor Day calls attention to the importance of the tree as a renewable energy resource for wood, fuel, and as a foil for erosion, a habitat for wildlife, and a natural canopy to moderate the temperature, enhance the vitality of the business areas, and beautify our community. In honor of National Arbor Day, the City of Miami has implemented the Miami Green Commission that encourages neighborhood groups and individuals to plant trees, and in so doing, improves the urban canopy and supports the planting of close to 200 trees citywide in the month of March and April. It is therefore fitting and appropriate that the elected leadership at the City of Miami, on behalf of our citizens, work in partnership with the organizations in order to encourage the transition to a green society and call attention to the importance of tree as a renewable resource. Therefore, today, we recognize Arbor Day in Miami. Thank you for everything that you do on a daily basis, and we appreciate the hard work. Thank you. I don't know if anybody wants to say.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Quatisha Oguntoyembo Rashad, and it is always an honor and a pleasure to accept this proclamation and be acknowledged and recognized for our efforts. And when I say our, it is a collective effort. City of Miami residents, our departments, Resilience and Public Works, my leader, Ace Marrero of the Building Department, Parks, Co-Compliance, as well as OCI. It is a collective effort to protect our natural resources and enhance our tree canopy. So we greatly appreciate everyone's acknowledgement and support. So thank you. Happy Arbor Day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Good morning, everyone. Ken Russell, District 2 Commissioner. And I'm here to recognize the ladies of AKA, also known as Alpha Kappa Alpha. If you join me up here, please, a round of applause. And I'm going to call you up because I've got your certificates in order here. Jamie Williams Smith, Anne Jean-Baptiste, Inaya Bint Mohammed, Kelsey Walker, Noni Randall, Kylie Stamps, Gabby Mays, Cheris Pitter, Michelle Saint-Just, Ajiri Uzere, Laura Francois, and Samantha Awia. And let me read the certificate before each of them gets it. This is a salute by the City of Miami. The City of Miami is saluting you. University of Miami's Iota Nu chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, we would like to thank you for your charitable work in the community to include organizing and delivering 100 packages of toiletry donations to the Miami Rescue Mission in collaboration with Ransom Everglades School, where you crafted and sewed shirts for little boys in underserved countries. Additionally, the members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Inc. was instrumental in the Virginia Key Beach Cleanup Project and so much more. We appreciate the work you are doing. It is therefore fitting that the elected leadership of the City of Miami pause in our deliberations for the governance to salute you. Presented on behalf of the city by Francis Suarez, the mayor, myself, and our fellow commissioners. Thank you so much for all your work.
Hello, I'm sorry, am I back to you?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for this acknowledgement. My name is Jamie Victoria Williams-Smith. I'm a proud member of the Iota Nu chapter at the University of Miami of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I also have the honor and privilege of being the 64th undergraduate student government president at the university. Thank you. And I also sit on the Community Relations Committee for the City of Coral Gables, so I'm so excited to continue forging the connection between the university and UM. Now we'll pass it to our president of Iota Nu.
Greetings, Chairwoman Christine King and members of the Commission. I am the president of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Iota Nu chapter at the University of Miami, and I am proud to represent my chapter here at the Miami City Hall, along with some of my sorority sisters. The call of action of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated is exemplifying excellence through sustainable service and to be of service to all mankind. The Iota Nu chapter has exemplified the sorority's commitment to service through the aforementioned activities. This recognition is especially important to our chapter as we are celebrating our 47th Charter Day anniversary on April 30th. Thank you.
Anybody else would like to say anything?
Yes. Also shout out to Victoria Mendez, Miss Victoria Mendez, for being a triple cane at UM. Go Canes.
Oh. Okay.
Chair King, Can they do the U so I could send it to the school so that they can put it up in the school? Can I take a picture? Yes. Oh, thank you, Sandra. No. Yeah, the U first. So we could send it to the school.
Thank you, everyone. At this time, I'm going to call the City of Miami Commission meeting for April 27, 2022 to order, and I'm going to have our pastor come up from New Providence Missionary Baptist Church to give us a prayer. Pastor Caldwell. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioner. Would you please respectfully bow your heads with me in the moment of prayer? The heavens declare your glory. The earth shows forth your handiwork. Day after day, creation speaks of your power and of your existence. David said, "Where can I go that you are not there? If I make my bed in heaven, there you are. If I lay down into Sheol, there you are. There's nowhere that we can go that your presence is not there." And so, God, with that in mind, let us not be so cerebrally protruded to believe that we've come this far on our own. These commissioners have a job to do. They have a job to do, and that is to honor you by honoring the people that you have created to make a better life in a better way, and a better community. God, we pray that you will give them the wisdom. Bless this chair lady, Lord God, and help her, Lord God, to navigate these meetings, these proceedings today. And God, we ask that you will bless those who are present here, and whatever need they have, you will provide. For we thank you, for it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And now for the Pledge of Allegiance, might I have one of the children that are here for Take Your Kid to Work Day to do the Pledge of Allegiance? Come on up. Just speak into the mic. You got to look at the flag. Go for it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag and the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And now, I believe we have a quorum. Madam City Attorney, can you read into the record your statement, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Any person who is a lobbyist pursuant to Chapter 2, Article 6 of the City Code must register with the City Clerk and comply with the related city requirements for lobbyists before appearing before the City Commission. A person may not lobby a city official, board member, or staff member until registering. A copy of the code section about lobbyists is available in the City Clerk's office or online at www.municode.com. Any person making a presentation, formal request, or petition to the City Commission concerning real property must make the appropriate disclosures required by the City Code in writing. A copy of this City Code section is available in the office of the City Clerk or online at www.municode.com. The City of Miami requests that anyone requesting action by the City Commission must disclose before the hearing any consideration provided or committed to anyone for agreement to support or withhold objection to the requested action pursuant to Section 2-8. Any documents offered to the City Commission that have not been provided 7 days before the meeting as part of the agenda materials will be entered into the record at the City Commission's discretion. In accordance with Section 2-33F and G of the City Code, the agenda and material for each item on the agenda is available during business hours at the City Clerk's office and online 24 hours a day at www.municode.com. Any person may be heard by the City Commission through the chair for not more than 2 minutes on any proposition before the City Commission unless modified by the chair. Public comment will begin at approximately 9:45 and remain open until public comment is closed by the chair. Members of the public wishing to address the body may do so by submitting written comments via the online comment form. Please visit www.miamigov.com/meeting instructions for detailed instructions on how to provide public comment using the public comment form. The comments submitted with the comment form have been and will be distributed to elected officials and city administration throughout the day so that the elected officials may consider the comments prior to taking action. Additionally, the online comment form will remain open during the meeting to accept comments and distribute to the elected officials up until the chair closes public comment. Public comment may also be provided live at City Hall at 3500 Pan American Drive, subject to any and all city rules as may be amended. If the proposition is being continued or rescheduled, the opportunity to be heard will be at such later date before the City Commission takes action on such proposition. When addressing the City Commission, the member of the public must first state their name, their address, and what item will be spoken about. Any person with a disability requiring assistance, auxiliary aids, and services for this meeting may notify the City Clerk. The City has provided different public comment methods to indicate, among other things, the public support, opposition, or neutrality on items and topics to be discussed at the City Commission in compliance with Section 286.0114 4C Florida statutes. The public has been given the opportunity to provide public comment during the meeting and within reasonable proximity and time before the meeting. Please note, commissioners have generally been briefed by city staff and the city attorney on items on the agenda today. Anyone wishing a verbatim record of an item considered at this meeting may request it at the Office of Communications or view it online at www.miamigov.com. PZ items shall proceed according to Section 7.1.4 of the Miami 21 zoning ordinance as temporarily modified pursuant to emergency ordinance numbers 13903 and 13914. Parties for any PZ items, including any applicant, appellant, appellee, city staff, and any person recognized by the decision-making body as a qualified intervener, as well as the applicant's representatives and any experts testifying on behalf of the applicant, appellant, or appellee, may either be physically present at City Hall to be sworn in by oath or affirmation by the city clerk, or may appear virtually and make arrangements to be sworn in by oath or affirmation in person at their location by an individual qualified to perform such duty. Pursuant to emergency ordinance number 13903, members of the general public who are not parties to an action pending before the City Commission are not required to be sworn in by oath or affirmation. The members of the City Commission shall disclose any ex parte communications pursuant to Florida Section 286.0115 and Section 7.1.4.5 of the Miami 21 zoning ordinance. The order of presentation shall be as set forth in Miami 21 and the City Code. Staff will briefly present each item to be heard. The applicant will present its application for request to the City Commission. If the applicant agrees with the staff recommendation, the City Commission may proceed to its deliberation and decision. The applicant may also waive the right to an evidentiary hearing on the record. The order of presentation shall be as set forth in Miami 21 and the City Code. For appeals, the appellant will present its appeal to the City Commission, followed by the appellee. Staff will be allowed to make any recommendation they may have. Please silence all cell phones and other noise-making devices at this time. Access to the meeting can be viewed live on Miami TV, the city's Facebook page, the city's Twitter page, the city's YouTube channel, and Comcast Channel 77. The broadcast will also have closed captioning. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Clerk?
Thank you, Chair. The procedures for individuals who will be providing testimony to be sworn in for planning and zoning items and any quasi-judicial items on today's City Commission agenda will be as follows. The members of city staff or any other individuals required to be sworn in who are currently present at City Hall will be sworn in by me, the City Clerk, immediately after I've finished explaining these procedures. Those individuals who are appearing remotely may be sworn in now or at any time prior to the individual providing testimony for planning, zoning items, and or quasi-judicial items. Pursuant to emergency ordinance number 13903, those individuals appearing remotely may be sworn at their location by an individual qualified to administer the oath. After you're sworn in, please be sure to complete, sign, and notarize the affidavit provided to you by the City Attorney's Office. Each individual who will be provide testimony must be sworn in and execute an affidavit. Please email a scanned version of the signed affidavit to the city clerk at thannon@miamigov.com prior to providing testimony on the planning and zoning item and/or quasi-judicial item. The affidavit shall be included in the record for the relevant item for which you will be providing testimony. Commissioners, are you comfortable with all the notice provisions set forth in these uniform rules and procedures we have established for this meeting? Yes.
Yes.
Chair, may I administer the oath for the planning and zoning items?
Please.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. If we be speaking on any of today's planning and zoning items, only, may I please have you stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give at today's meeting is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And your response is? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. City Clerk. Mr. Manager, do you have any items from administration that you intend to continue, defer, or withdraw?
Good morning, Ms. Chairwoman, Commissioners, Madam City Attorney, Mr. City Clerk. This time the administration would like to defer and or withdraw the following items. PH1 to be indefinitely deferred, DI1 to be deferred to May 26th, and DI2 to be withdrawn. On the P&Z agenda, PZ5 to be deferred to May 26th.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Manager, for co-living, you put May 26th. Are we going to be able to get together with your planning department to finalize something by then? Because if not, I'd rather push it till later as an indefinite and then bring it back when we're ready. But I'd rather it not pop up on another agenda not ready. I want to do it. I just want us to be ready. Can we be ready by May 26th?
Madam Chair,
You have a new planning director, so let's set it for indefinite and we'll bring it back as soon as we can.
okay.
PZ.
Okay, yes.
PZ5 is indefinitely
Indefinite
deferred.
deferral.
Anything else, Commissioner? Commissioner Russell?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Reyes? No. Nothing? May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Are there any pocket items to be considered today? No pocket items? Okay, well, that will set the order of the day. Are there any mayoral vetoes?
Chair, there are no mayoral vetoes.
Okay. We will open the meeting for public comment now. Good morning. Hold on, Grady, hold on. Go ahead.
Good morning, Grady Muhammad, Director of Intergovernmental Affairs, the Nation of Islam, 7th Region. Covers the state of Florida, Central South America, 5650 Northwest 7th Avenue. Speaking on CA1 with the consent agenda and approval for the Liberty City Trust budget amendment and PZ6 and 7 for the Freedom Park. But I think one of the things I would like for you all to consider as a real community benefit agreement, since this is public land, and we do not want a Marlins 2.0 where the developers walk out of here rich and the community gets stuck with a whole lot of debt.
Mr. Muhammad, what item are you speaking on?
PZ6, PZ7, Freedom Park.
That's in a special.
No, that's not Freedom Park.
No.
Freedom Park is on the agenda, correct?
It's a special.
In the afternoon.
In the afternoon.
Okay.
So there'll be public comment then.
So you have to come back for that.
Okay, that's not a problem.
That's not on this agenda.
But again, in support of the quote-unquote Liberty City Trust the budget amendment, definitely in support of that, Madam Chair.
Thank
And
you.
Question, Madam Chair. What in reference to the, I got to come back for the agenda items for the CRA as well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Separate meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Truly Burton, the Executive Vice President for the Builders Association of South Florida. I'm here to speak against PZ8. We oppose it in its current form, and we ask that the Commission retain the current waiver process. Right now, the waiver process for parking incentives has worked pretty well for most of the city. It's not perfect, okay? But the changing from a simple waiver process to a full-blown public hearing in front of the City Commission adds a much more time-consuming dimension and another obstacle to building more affordably priced housing, especially during a time of a housing crisis. Here's what that change would mean. If adopted, the builder applicant would have to wait months to be heard by this particular body, by the City Commission, go through an expense of hiring an attorney, having someone to represent them, and hope, cross their fingers, that they could get approved, or maybe not, all right? If they do get approved after that month, that 8 or 9 month period, they can then start planning their project. They'd have to wait for a permit, which takes 14 to 16 months, and then another 1.5 to 2 years to build it. We're already at 3.5 to 4 years for any new housing to get built, okay? These additional expenses in time and legal fees pile up, especially, and they really do hurt the infill developer building on smaller parcels. But these are the perfect parcels for building affordably priced housing. We don't think that the city really wants to be a city for rich people only. And I think this takes us another step in that wrong direction. All of this can be avoided if you just retain the current waiver process. Right now, Miami 21 does protect single-family and duplex neighborhoods from most parking issues. First, these waivers are not given to any buildings that are within 500 feet of a single-family or duplex neighborhood. Second, for areas where waivers can be applied for, the neighborhoods get mailed notice. Thank you. Okay. Rejected and retained. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chairwoman. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Sam Diller. I'm representing the South Florida Community Development Coalition, and we're speaking on PZ8. Like the Builders Association of South Florida, SFCDC is also opposing this legislation, this ordinance. But its background, the South Florida Community Development Coalition is a member-led 501c3 not-for-profit policy advocacy coalition focused on building collective action to advance community economic development. Our mission is to engage, educate, and empower the public, private, and not-for-profit sectors to champion comprehensive community development. And we presently convene a collective action of over 1,300 advocates and allies, including developers, urban planners, housing counselors, and community organizers. Given the recent housing emergency declaration made by the City of Miami, we believe that transit-oriented development is a key solution to addressing the interconnected issues of housing and transportation, both in the short term and in the long term. As such, our opposition to approval of this ordinance is because we believe it will inevitably result in more costly development for affordable housing within the city. In particular, we are concerned that the ordinance worsens the lack of affordable mid-income housing, which in turn affects the availability of affordable housing for low and moderate income households. In that, loss of the ability to create more market rate housing as current TOD zoning forces, forces moderate income households to look for housing that is affordable to them where it exists. And where it exists is in low and moderate income neighborhoods. This forces gentrification. Market forces takes the income-enabled buyer and forces them to look where housing is affordable, and oftentimes that's in low and moderate income neighborhoods. Again, displacement of long-term residents by those that are more economically enabled. Furthermore, I think it's important to note that this ordinance was recommended for denial by a 9-2 vote of the city's Planning and Zoning Approval Board, and the proposed code amendments would counter the city's comprehensive plan and recent Miami 21.
Thank you.
Also, just real quickly, we'd like to have this letter read into the record.
Can you give it to the city clerk? Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners, and good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Mark Merwitzer. I am here representing Transit Alliance, and I live at 14730 Southwest 75th Avenue. And sharing the opinion of the city's own zoning board, we are here in opposition to the passage of item PZ8 that would make it significantly more challenging to reduce parking minimums near transit. Item PZ8 moves us away from other world-class cities and repeats the same mistakes of the past by making it harder to build places without parking. The value of being near a transit stop is that people can access your business without having to drive there and park their cars. Requiring builders to go to the city for rightly wanting to walk or use public transit to get to businesses defeats the whole purpose of building right next to public transit. Most importantly, this item hampers our efforts to address the affordability crisis plaguing our city. A reduction of 30% in parking spaces could look at adding 20 new homes to a new development, or an entire mom and pop shop. If there's one thing we want you to take away from this item, is this item will set our city back in its efforts to make Miami realize her true potential for being an affordable and walkable place to live, work, and play. Thank you very much. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Aki Fernandez. I voiced my opposition to PZ8 at last month's meeting. While I'm sympathetic to the Commission's concerns about protecting residents, the anecdotal parking hardships described in District 3 and 4 are a result of an existing suburban environment. That situation could be vastly improved by stricter parking enforcement on private property and tactical use of residential-only on-street parking decals. This is already being done in parts of District 3. The city attorney pointed out last month that hundreds of applications have been filed using TOD incentives. Very few parcels even qualify for these parking reductions. This only highlights the tremendous success of the TOD program. This amendment contradicts the ideas put forth in the Miami 21 Task Force report, the Miami Forever Carbon Neutral Plan, and the intent of Miami 21 as laid out in Article 2. These documents were crafted by experts who were handpicked by this commission. I'll be submitting a letter for the record that outlines this information. This notion of parking reductions by exception is a death pill. No developer is going to risk their life savings for a no. We need clear by-right codes that incentivize cost-effective, predictable buildings. This amendment would make affordable, environmentally responsible growth the exception instead of the norm. We're in a housing emergency. We need inventory, not bureaucracy. I urge you all to defer this vote and heed the counsel of experts. Therein lies the solution. This parking puberty we're going through requires a nuanced approach that doesn't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Let's find solutions that protect residents and incentivizes the responsible growth of our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. Before you start to speak, your item has been deferred indefinitely, so I don't know if you want to speak today or if you'd like to come back when your item is actually on the agenda. You're welcome to speak now, but if you speak now, you won't speak at the next commission meeting when your item is actually on the agenda. So one of you could speak or all of you can speak, but your item is not on the agenda right now.
Okay, may I ask a question?
Go right ahead.
So the first, it's indefinitely, so we wouldn't know when, or do you know when?
You will absolutely have notice when it comes back before the commission, but it's been indefinitely deferred by administration.
Okay, so if I was to speak today, does that mean that I can't speak anymore, or no one else from the organization can?
Whoever wants to speak is welcome to speak today, but if you speak today, you will not speak when it comes before the commission again.
Meaning the individual or the organization?
The
or anyone?
individual, whoever speaks today on behalf of this issue. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Elvis Cruz, 631 Northeast 57th Street. Item PZ1 and 2, the proposed upzoning in Buena Vista West. The PZAB got it right when they voted 8-0 against this upzoning because it is a clear and undeniable incursion into the single-family zoning. Instead of buying land that suits their project, the developer wants you to change the zoning to suit their project. There is no hardship to justify this zoning change. Please follow the PZAB's lead and deny this upzoning. For PZ8, please protect neighborhoods from spillover parking. It's an important quality of life issue. Lastly, Commissioner Carollo, Commissioner De La Portilla, Commissioner Reyes, at the previous City Commission meeting, Commissioner Russell asked for the Morningside Park shoreline to be placed on the agenda for today's meeting, but that didn't happen. There was much concern from several of you about the Morningside Park shoreline and how the proposed plan would be detrimental to the public's enjoyment. Could one of you please make a motion to put it on the next agenda? Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Sabrina Velarde, and I am here on behalf of Miami Homes for All. Our address is 1951 Northwest 7th Avenue, Miami, Florida, 33136, and I'm here today in opposition of PZ8. At Miami Homes for All, we believe that everyone in Miami should have a safe, stable, and affordable place to call home. In order to achieve this, we work with cross-sector partners throughout Miami in the pursuit of policy to promote increasing our housing supply and preserving the affordability that we do have. To that end, we oppose PZ8. While we understand your desire to improve parking options for City of Miami residents, we believe that this legislation is more likely to have a negative impact on affordable development in the city and affordability overall, especially the future of preservation of smaller mom-and-pop NOAA property owners looking to rehab. This legislation eliminates the existing waiver procedure for parking incentives in TOD or near transit corridors. Eliminating this waiver and requiring that this occur by exception would be cost prohibitive for developers trying to build on these parcels. Given the city's recent declaration of a housing emergency and the desire to streamline the affordable development process, PZ8 is counterproductive to this goal. Miami Homes for All, along with our partners, is willing and ready to work together on holistic housing solutions for the benefit of the many who live and work in Miami. We look forward to achieving an affordable Miami with you all.
Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chairwoman and Commissioners. Lisa Martinez today on behalf of Miami-Dade County Public Schools. My address is 457 Southwest 27th Road. It's regarding item PH4, informational purposes. This particular item is a follow-up to a resolution that was passed in October of 2020. That particular item referenced the inclusion of Miami-Dade County Public Schools within the negotiations of the project. The only request that we're hoping that you consider is including a reference to Miami-Dade County Public Schools being included within the discussions regarding the agreements in the future. Our goal is to be able to make sure that the work that we comprehensively have done with the city, the CRA, over the past 7 years is consistent, has the potential to be able to be fully realized, and including us within the particular item referencing simply that we will be included within the negotiations process at the table, that we would be able to know that there is an act of good faith for the strong partnership and possibilities for the work that we have done, inclusive of workforce housing, affordable housing, and additional educational seats that can emerge as the work that we have been working on can be realized in the years to come. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Andre Celia, 1247 Northwest 9th Avenue. I must have missed a declaration of a parking emergency in Miami. PZ8 is of great concern. I don't seem to understand why the city's taking a step backwards with something that motivates infill development in a city with a housing crisis. Every news report daily is pointing to Miami becoming the most expensive city in the United States, and yet we're focused on gutting a part of legislation that is seeming to spur development, small development. I tried wrapping my head around what is the benefit here, and I'm struggling to see it. I don't think anything has been put forward in terms of studies, in terms of showing how this is detrimental to Miami as a whole. I think I've heard a lot of people say how it's beneficial. I mean, in your own districts, I don't know, some areas, I know that a large percentage of constituents don't even have personal vehicles. They rely on transportation, and this legislation allows for development in those areas. We're not, it's not going into single-family home areas where I know that there's some concern about parking, but I don't think there's anything that shows that the basic arithmetic of increasing the cost of building these things would not be passed on. That gets passed on to the end user. And that is the regular Miamian who, if you go on Zillow just looking for something under $2,000, good luck.
Good luck finding it in the city of Miami.
Madam Chair, I have
Thank
one
you.
question. Where do you live?
1247 Northwest 9th Ave.
9th Avenue.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Mayra Jolie here. I was gonna, my reason for being here was totally different until I stood online and I see how the Circle Brotherhood brought older people to come here today. And just like that, you send them home. And you told them, if you speak now, you're gonna have to hold your peace forever because you're not gonna be able to speak ever when this comes back on the table sometime in the future. What kind of people are we? So you send the Circle of Brotherhood, the black people that you say you are so much championing for, and that's what you tell them? Pick up your bags and go home. Come back some other day. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Thank you. I guess. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the commission. My name is Tony Resio with law office at 2800 Ponce Leon Boulevard. I apologize for the sound of my voice. I'm a little hoarse. It's not COVID, promise. I'm here on behalf of 560-640 Northeast 34th Street LLC, but also as a resident of the city of Miami. I am in opposition to PZ8. I understand that maybe the process can get modified, can be amended. I'm in opposition of eliminating all of the parking waivers, specifically the 30% waiver and the waiver for units of properties of 10,000 square feet or less. These are all in proximity to transit corridors, to transit-oriented development. That's what it's for. Now, you've heard a little bit about housing affordability. Housing affordability is a function of not enough supply and the cost of development. Unfortunately, to build parking ends up being, in today's numbers, really $25,000 to $35,000 a space for garage parking. And that is only climbing every day. The costs of construction impact affordability. This is an important issue. So we understand that there may be some ways to tweak the waivers, but we would ask that you keep them at waivers. They are in proximity to transit, they promote transit, and they promote density in proximity to transit. When you put density in proximity to transit, people use the transit, and developers are not forced to seek properties in other neighborhoods that are not, neighborhoods that deserve a little bit more parking, that require it. So again, turning it into an exception injects uncertainty into the process. Uncertainty impacts loans. That uncertainty kills deals. And we don't get the density in close proximity to transit. We get it wherever they can find the cheapest property. And that's not the best way to plan a city. Lastly,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Josh Gelfman. I'm here as a neighboring property owner to Biscayne Park, speaking on behalf of, or in favor of PH4. We've been in touch with the folks that are working on those improvements and are supportive of their efforts, and just wanted to indicate our support. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Steve Warnick, 320 Miracle Mile, Coral Gables, Florida, and a resident 2501 Swanson Avenue, Miami. Here on PZ8, a lot's been said, but I think one issue to bring up is the fiscal impact of this ordinance. Commissioner Carrillo, you're one of the strongest on the dais on bringing money to the city of Miami, but I don't think there's been any analysis here. I was thinking about this in between first and second reading, and if you think about adding more parking, the property appraiser is going to assign no value to that amount. If that diminishes the amount of, you're trading off parking for units, you're bringing less tax revenue into the city. What is the amount of that impact? Could it be in the millions? It could be, I think. So what are people going to do with this ordinance? They might build more luxury parking where it's okay to provide additional parking spaces, and that might work in some neighborhoods. In other neighborhoods, you might get more expensive housing being delivered, bigger parking garages, but I think inevitably less tax revenue to the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here for public comment? Seeing none, the public comment period is now closed. We will take up our consent agenda. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Do I have a motion to pass CA 1, 2, and 3?
So moved, Madam Chair.
I have a motion. Can I have a second? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda is moved. I'm sorry, ma'am.
Yes, hi, good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Ines Marrero. I'm attorney with offices at 701 Brickell Avenue. I am here this morning on items PZ6 and PZ7, and we would like to request a deferral of this item with the support of the administration. I don't know if this is the proper time or you want to have the PZ agenda. Six and seven, they're on second reading. We had submitted a covenant, and we understand that staff has not had sufficient time to review it for it to come back before you.
Okay.
For
I
a
have
second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
What date?
For the 26th, May 26th?
May 26th? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. PZ 6 and 7 is deferred until May 26th commission meeting.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, thank you. Okay. We're on our PHs now. Good morning, how are you today? Good to see you. Do I have a motion to pass our PH items, the public hearing items?
So moved.
PH items.
2 through 4.
PH 2, 3, and 4. PH 1 was indefinitely deferred.
So moved.
Ma'am,
I would like to ask Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla about this item. Sure. This item, item 4, PH 4. And I know that it is a donation of $10 million, and I congratulate you. You worked on it, and you've done a great job. But my concern is that we are going to maybe, because the way that the administration is working the non-net laws, they're going to use this our own land for non-net laws, you see. And we will be using this tract of land. I requesting if we can make an amendment that cannot be used as a non-net laws.
Okay, if I may, Madam Chair,
Please.
this concept originated over a year ago when I was first chairman of the CRA, of the Omni CRA. It had nothing to do with no net loss.
Yes.
Now it's tied into a little bit, somewhat of a controversial issue. I understand that we're going to vote on today. And something that's been debated and negotiated for years now. So they are including that as no net loss, but they also have gravy. They have other properties. And I think we'll find through the course of the debate today that will make up that difference anyway. So my idea was to pass this as is without any not net loss implications. I'm not sure if you willing to vote for it without that happening, or you want an amendment?
I want an amendment, if it's possible.
The same amendment that you
Yeah,
asked
the
for
same amendment.
Commissioner
Yes,
Russell last time when he
Yes,
passed
sir.
this item 3-2.
Yes, sir.
I'll give you that amendment then, and we
Okay.
pass it and we move on.
Madam City Attorney, you got it?
As amended,
I second that.
we will not include it as no net loss, this
Okay.
particular piece of property.
Okay.
But hold
I was the
on.
mover.
For no net loss replenishment
Replenishment is what I
calculations.
meant.
I'm just curious, look,
Vice Chair.
are we going to be knocking out no net loss just for the sake of being in a better position to kill the item that we're going to have this afternoon, or are we going to try to take some out of play because they truly are not appropriate to have in a no net loss? Is this going to end up in to be a park, a real park, or are we just pretending that it's going to be a park or something? If it's going to be a real park, we should have these constraints.
And I agree, and of course, I need 4 votes here, right? So this is the debate we're gonna have, right? This is something I think Commissioner Russell has worked on also in the past. This is something that's a real park. We have Mr. Riley here who represents the Center family. And this is something that's, they're investing a minimum of $10 million.
A lot of money.
A minimum of $10 million into a park that's been desolate and empty for decades. So I would not like to, you're right, this is not a fake no net loss argument here. There's a real park that we're creating, that we're doing something with, and a private donor is giving us money that we don't have to fix it right now. So to me, it's a shame that everything needs to get trapped into a different conversation, a different debate. I would prefer not to, I would prefer not to have the amendment.
Okay.
I would prefer not to have the amendment, but I will,
Commissioner
let me
Russell
just finish, yeah.
a question on this item.
Let me finish, just finish quickly.
Hold on a second.
Let me just finish quickly.
Hold on one second, hold on one
I would
second.
prefer not to have the amendment. I would like the body to vote 4/5 to get this out today. I don't want any deferrals, I want it done today. Because I know things get caught up and trapped in other things.
But
So,
let's see.
Hold on.
I prefer
Let him
not to
finish
have-
speaking, let him finish speaking.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I prefer not to have any amendment, but I want to hear what the will of the other three commissioners is before we do
Okay,
it.
so
Madam Chair.
let's go to Commissioner Reyes.
Yes, because the thing is, I'm saying this because yesterday I had a very spirited conversation with the manager, and there was administration there. And the issue of not net loss came in, and the way that this is going to be treated, it is that the city of Miami is paying not net loss with their own land. The developer is not responsible for anything. You see, we are, according to what I heard, we are looking for parcels that otherwise could be used for housing, or development that will generate income to the city, and it will be converted to parks in order to suffice for a certain amount of land that they claim that is the only not net loss. I don't mind if they have, I mean, there is other land that they can use, but what I don't want is this tricky way in which we are treating the not net loss item.
But this is not.
No, but this one,
not a trick.
I grant you that.
This is
And
not a
I just brought this up because I wanted to make this comment. I grant you that. This is a park. This is a park, you're making this a park, and it's going to be used as a park.
And there's nothing underhanded here or anything
And
like
this land, I mean, what other uses does this have, that land have now?
It's civic, there's nothing there, it's empty.
It's
just
empty,
grass, it's just
and
grass.
people are using it as a park now,
Yes,
right now.
they're using it as a park.
They're
right
using it
now.
as a park,
Sure.
the school. That is totally different than to get land that could be leased or developed and then be used as a park, changed to a park, and then that it is a cost to the city.
In fact, what this does, Madam Chair, what this does, Commissioner Ray, is that it actually stops that area from being developed.
Yeah.
It's the other way around. It makes it a park. It legitimizes it as a park.
I bring it back, but I'm glad that I had the opportunity to express myself
sir.
the way that I am, because I think that is immoral, totally immoral. The way, and it hurts the city. It go against the city. The way that we treat it, not that loss.
Thank you.
Okay, well,
So I
Thank
wanna
you.
move it.
Vice Chair, Vice Chair.
I'm glad that Commissioner Reyes acknowledges that this is truly going to be parkland.
Yes.
And this is what I'm looking to do, to keep real parkland into play. Now, Commissioner Russell has really taken a major lead in the no net loss. You certainly did when the item that we will be dealing with this afternoon first came up to go to a referendum. Are you, Commissioner Russell, sufficiently in agreement that these 10 acres are going to truly be parkland also?
It's only 3 acres.
What's the amount? It's
3 acres.
3 acres, I'm sorry.
3.7.
Yeah, 3.7. They're spending 10 million on it.
Yes.
At least 10 million.
Commissioner Russell.
Thank you, Commissioner. So this
location's no longer in my city district. I'm no longer chair of the Omni CRA.
it
I'd like to
don't
answer.
matter. It don't matter. I'm just
I'd like to
asking a
answer
question. Yeah.
fully, please. Because when it was in my district and I was chair of the CRA, there was a lot of plans and ideas for this land. And it's not just 3 acres. The 3 acres is the no net loss portion that MFP is looking at. The Centner piece is the remainder to the west, but there is an overlap. I think we need to look comprehensively at that entire lot and decide what we want to do with it as a city, because the original plan was that the Centners were going to create the park that would service the school that they have. But as Lisa Martinez spoke today, there is an MOU with the Omni CRA that they were going to bring their entire 9 acres onto our tax rolls, which would service the Omni CRA, and the Omni would work together with them to develop those 9 acres through TIF agreements for affordable housing, education, et cetera. The linchpin, the key piece to that was the hope of moving IPREP to this site next to what the Centners are building as a park, that park would service that school and their school, and there was even an opportunity for affordable housing within that site. Now, that was years ago, and if that's no longer the will of this body, then we need to make that decision as an Omni CRA and pull out of and then we can still work with the school board to develop their 9 acres. And so I'm not trying to foil the ability for us to develop this land for park or school, but I think we need to make that decision, because the Centner piece has expanded to where there's only 1 acre left of city land outside of the Centner piece, and it's a parking lot which they would be needing to service the sports facility as well. So if we're going to go vertical there, it's a very small piece. And if we're going to do it all as park, I am okay with this piece being counted as new park land, especially with a $10 million investment in it.
All right,
Yeah.
so you've
Hold on.
Hold on.
So I said a lot of things.
Vice Chair.
You've answered my question. You're okay
Yes.
with this being kept as a park, 3.7, and obviously...
3.7.
3.7 acres or so?
Yes.
Obviously, if for any reason we use this in a no net loss and this changes in the future, that would have to be replaced immediately.
Correct.
So I think, Commissioner, you could move this without any amendments.
Yes,
as
sir.
originally intended. I certainly will second it with no amendments. I think from what I'm hearing, we're all in agreement on this piece. This
And
is
then
real.
what I'll do is I'll...
Hold on. Are you finished?
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Reyes?
Yes, and I'm glad I brought this up because I want also to make sure that that proposal to develop the adjacent land, you see, won't be taken by the administration, but will not be included and be rezoned as park in order to comply with the not that loss requirement, which in my opinion it has been manipulated, because as Commissioner Russell stated, that tract of land, it was negotiations there were negotiations to develop that land. And if we develop that land, then those are revenues that are going to come to the city of Miami. And if we are going to comply with the not-net laws issue by changing the zoning of land in the city of Miami that could be developed or could be leased and could be income generating, then there is a cost to the city of Miami for this project. Okay, that's what I wanted to bring out. Okay?
So, Madam Chair...
I will vote for it, and I told Vicky, our city attorney, during the agenda prep, that I was going to vote for it. But I'm making this, I'm making this point clear because I wanted to bring it clear, and then there is an opportunity cost every time that we take some of our land and we change the zoning to comply with the requirement and help somebody else.
Yes, sir. So I want to move, Madam Chair, if I may, with your indulgence, PH2, PH3, and PH4. I know Mr. Clerk is saying you can't do it that way, but
No,
you
he
can.
said we can. We just didn't want to jeopardize 2 and 3.
We're
But it
not
looks
going
like
to-
we
we're
have
gonna roll it all. 2, 3, and 4.
I have a motion and a second.
Chair, just
Yes.
for the record, there was a motion made at 10:11 a.m. by Commissioner Russell, seconded by Commissioner Diaz-Del for 2, 3, and 4.
All in favor?
No, just a last discussion piece on 4.
On 4.
there was a concern brought up in briefing regarding public access to this new park. And we're very, very thankful that $10 million would come to bring us this park, and the facilities look absolutely amazing. But we need to make sure that we're prioritizing public access. They can use it, there must be a portion of it that is always reserved for public access that cannot be reserved by the school. So that people can have free play there, or league play, or training that we can program. If the administration could, or Parks Department, or Real Estate Asset Management could describe what their plan is to protect that, I'll be fully in favor of this.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jacqueline Lorenzo with the Department of Real Estate and Asset Management. So we've spoken with the foundation, and 2/3 of the property after school hours will be available at all times to the public. And then during school hours, 1/3 will be available at all times.
Will it be programmed by the city Parks Department, the free space?
Yes.
So Parks will be managing the property, and the programming will be through the typical Parks programming.
Thank you. And then the last thing, and this is an ask of our chairman of the Omni CRA. I would like to work with the school board, because the goal for our downtown residents, the lacking in Edgewater and downtown, is school seats, and they were hoping to double the capacity of IPREP. They can still do it on their 9 acres.
Yes.
But they're going to need our help with TIF deals and grants and things like that.
You have that commitment. I've been working with Lisa Martinez, so you have that commitment from me.
Thank you.
It's a very good school, and they do good work there. Hi, Madam Chair.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
RE, I need that to be read into the record.
An RE?
We don't?
No,
Okay.
just the ordinance.
Do I have a motion
So moved.
for RE1? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. SR1, can you read that into the record? Read all
Yes.
of the SRs.
All the SRs?
Yes, let's get them all out of the way.
SR1, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending Chapter 2, Article 11 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, is amended titled Administration Boards, Committees, Commissions by removing the reference to the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS Advisory Board, confirming the abolishment of the HAB containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. SR2, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending Chapter 13, Article 1, titled Development Impact and Other Related Fees in General of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended specifically by amending Section 13-16D, titled Petitions for Refunds of Impact Fees, to provide for refunds under limited circumstances, containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. SR3, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending Chapter 10, Article 1, Section 10-5 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended, titled Buildings in General Waiver and Deferral of Fees, Senior Citizens Waiver, to provide for a waiver of city permit fees for low-income homeowners for remodeling or repair activities on homestead properties up to $50,000 of the cost of construction, containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. Those are all the SRs, Madam Chair.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. I'll second it.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Do I have a motion for, well, we have the discussion, one was deferred, the discussion item.
They were both different.
They were both deferred?
One was withdrawn.
Okay, so,
Planning and zoning.
we're on planning and zoning.
Yeah. In the morning.
Before 10:30.
In the morning, that's awesome.
Yay. Look at that. Okay. PZ1, is anyone here on behalf of PZ1?
PZ 1 and 2 are companion items, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Madam Chair, again, for the record, the PC items that were deferred were PC 6 and 7, and was PC 5 also deferred?
Yes.
Okay. PC 5, 6, and 7.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
A technical question. Can we take all the PZ items together, or we're not allowed to do that?
Mr. City Clerk?
Yeah, we have a substitution. I have to change one of the titles because the addresses were juxtaposed, so
Well, with that substitution, can we take them all together? Just to get them done so we can take a break and talk about what's coming up in the afternoon. We have more conversations that need to be had.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Reyes?
Yes, and on PC8, I would like to recommend some exceptions.
Okay.
You see, and see if it is the will of the commission to, because it's going to affect certain areas that, and certain people.
Can I move, Madam Chair, PZ 1, 2, 3, and 4 then? And substitution memo for
Move it.
PZ 1?
Excuse me?
With a substitution memo for PZ 1 that's being handed out now?
3
Can
and
can I move PC 1, 2, 3, and 4? We'll leave 8 out for now, and then.
We have persons here to speak on behalf of PZ 1 and 2, I believe, correct?
That's correct, but we're going to request that you hear it later on in the day.
There's no later on in the day.
No,
This is it.
This is it.
My attorney's not here.
Well,
We have gone through the agenda. It is, this is the last thing that we have to take up for this agenda.
so the motion, Madam Chair, is PC 1, 2.
Hold on a second there.
sorry.
Those two are. You know, it's a new day with me as chair. We run through these things.
And by the way, I want that chair that you have right now.
We-
The actual chair.
We're trying this out, and I want everyone to sit in it to
Is it
see if you
working
like
out?
it.
Is it working out?
Yes, look how
Okay.
high I am.
So by next commission meeting, Mr. Manager, I want to direct the manager to give everybody the same chair? That's the directive for this commission? We need to vote on that, or is this the directive?
She's testing the chair out. This is
Okay,
a
she
test
loves it. She
run.
already told me she loves it.
She loves it already? She's only
Yeah.
been sitting in it for like an hour, so I absolutely.
On the first meeting, my attorney had to leave on an emergency, so he wasn't able to be here for the first reading. And I was informed by Mr. Riley, that he informed Mr. Winker that it was going to be after 3. So he anticipated that it was going to be later on this evening, and that was
Do
5.
you want to do a deferral? Because we're here, and I think my colleagues are ready to vote. I don't want to not allow you the opportunity to speak, or your attorney.
My legal counsel isn't here and wasn't here on the first one because of an emergency.
Right, I
And-
understand. I understand. I'm asking Mr. Riley, are you willing to defer this to the next commission meeting?
Madam Chair, for the record, William Riley, with address at 3050 Biscayne Boulevard. This application's been pending for about 18 months. It's been heard several times. It's been deferred several times. I don't have the authorization to ask for another deferral. We've met with the neighbors extensively. Promises made, promises kept. At the last commission meeting over 45 days ago, I promised I would meet the neighbors. We did that several times. We came up with a covenant. We limited the use of the property by over 12 different types of uses, which basically means that everything that was objected to, and there has been testimony by the neighbors extensively on this item, everything in the covenants that were asked for, that were objected to before, we have restricted as non-permitted on the property. We have done everything we were supposed to do, and I would ask that the commission please proceed today.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Russell?
I think the important factor for us is that whatever decision we make as a body is not subject or vulnerable to challenge. And so the question is whether the city has transmitted anything to Ulysses about the timing of this meeting, or his attorney, that it would be this afternoon. Relying on the other council does not bind us. We have a schedule that is published, and we do allow for public planning and zoning meeting items to come in the morning. So I would say the factor is, if we have given any notice to them that it would only be in the afternoon, we should wait, because then they will be able to say that he was not properly represented in this hearing. But if we have not, and it was able to be taken up this morning, I believe we should move forward.
Madam City Attorney?
I would request that Mr. Kemp be given the opportunity to speak and everything that he wanted to say if this commission wants to move forward with this item.
It's not, the issue is not if Mr. Kemp can speak. The issue is that his attorney isn't here.
No, I understand. What I am saying is that if you wish to proceed, Mr. Kemp should be allowed to say everything he wants to say.
Mr. Kemp, I understand
Um,
that, what,
We can also call Mr. Winker and he can appear by phone.
would that be
Would that work?
a compromise, a
Well,
good
no.
compromise? We can either, one of two things. We can either take it up in the afternoon, so we'll just hold it for the afternoon, after lunch, or we can have him appear by phone. Would that be an option, to have him appear by phone? I believe it is the will of my colleagues to go ahead and move this, and in fairness to Mr. Riley, we have had this issue going, and if Mr. Riley came in the morning, council should have been here as well. Being an attorney, you don't know what time something is going to come, you show up. I don't want to not allow him to have something, present his side. I do want to have that, but in all fairness, everyone is here for their PZ items. Everyone that has an item before this commission for PZ is here. And we've had several months of me being chair. Everyone knows I'm running these meetings. We're moving it. So can you get in touch with him and see if he can call in, and we'll go to the other, they're ready to take all of them at the same time. Or, Mr. Riley, if you would, as a personal favor to me, allow it to be deferred just to the next commission meeting.
Well,
I mean,
Madam Chair.
I understand.
You're a lawyer.
I understand.
You're a lawyer.
And sometimes we mess up.
But the judge-
And it shouldn't be held against
But in
them.
the courtroom, when you go,
I
you're not there at 9 in the morning.
I
and it's
understand.
brought up at 9:01.
I understand.
So,
Listen, I am timely. Aren't we here at 8:30? I'm timely. I understand. I'm just trying to come up with a resolution for this issue.
But the resolution is not to make them wait almost
I-
2 years
I
now.
just said it
He
would
could-
be-
The
right,
gentleman
it's-
should be able to speak, but Mr. Winker.
He's checking them.
Actually,
He's
he-
checking on them.
but-
He's checking on them.
Okay,
Just-
Mr. Winker has a fiduciary responsibility to be here on
I
time.
said that. I said that. I understand.
Do you have a call-in number, or what do you have?
Victoria, is there a call-in number he can?
Todd, do we have, the
A
little
number that he
machine?
can call in?
IT? Can IT come out, please?
You can just put him on speaker and put him on the microphone.
Let me get it. Hold on, let's see if you can work on speakerphone, I don't know.
Well, no, but they call in.
That sounds good.
This is really, it says one of the items has to be heard after 5.
I didn't hear what he said.
Do you have a copy of the agenda in front of you?
They're going down the agenda. By the way, I have you on speaker at the podium, so you can ask them whatever questions you want to ask them. They will hear whatever you have to say. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Chair, may I administer the oath to Mr. Winker?
Please.
Mr. Winker, can you hear me? It's Todd Hannon, the city clerk.
Say it again.
Mr. Winker, it's Todd Hannon, the city clerk. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, I can't hear. Is there a number I can call in?
Just a moment, sir. I think IT is trying to work on something for us.
Does he have to stand up, Mr. Clerk? No? Okay.
Okay, where do you want the link?
I agree with. Madam Chair, while they fix that, can I just move PC 3 and 4? Can I withdraw my motion, just move PC 3 and 4?
Yes.
Okay, so let me move
Wait,
PC 3 and 4.
Hold on, Commissioner Russell's not at the dais.
Commissioners.
Commissioners, can we move 3 and 4 while we try to straighten out 1 and 2?
Okay.
Motion second.
Chair, who's the seconder?
Yes.
Who seconded?
Commissioner
Reyes. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair, there's a title that needs to be read in the record.
Right, so the title and then the applicant, anyone has to.
Is anyone here to speak on behalf of PZ 3 and 4?
Only if you need me to. Edward Martos, office at 2525 Ponce de Leon Boulevard.
I don't
Thank you.
think so.
So PZ 3,
3 and 4.
PZ 3, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending ordinance number 10544 as amended the future land use map of the Miami Comprehensive Neighborhood Plan pursuant to small-scale amendment procedures subject to section 163, 3187 Florida statutes by changing the future land use designation from medium density restricted commercial to restricted commercial of the acreage described herein of the real properties at 8038 Northeast 2nd Avenue, western portion, and 165 Northeast 80th Terrace, Miami, Florida, all as more particularly described in Exhibit A, making findings containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. That's PZ 3. And PZ 4, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending the zoning atlas of ordinance number 13114, the zoning ordinance of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended by changing the zoning classification from T50 Urban Center Open to T680 Urban Core Open for the properties located at approximately 8038 Northeast 2nd Avenue, the western portion, and 165 Northeast 80th Terrace, Miami, Florida, all as more particularly described in Exhibit A, making findings containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
PZ 8? 8? You want to do 8?
Would we like to take up PZ 8?
PC 8?
There's going to be an amendment that Commissioner Reyes wanted to bring up. Yes. I would like to carve out the area of DDA downtown because there are a lot of buildings there that they never had parking. And if we are going to use this, in this ordinance, what is going to happen, they will have to be demolished. And there are plans to rehab those buildings. And I would like to carve out that area that it is an area that is very close to, I mean, many people live where they work around there, and those buildings, they will be. I will accept that amendment, and let me explain why. First of all, those buildings were created without parking decades ago. That's right. Secondly of all, they're within the downtown core, where truly the people that live in those type of smaller buildings, smaller units, it's an area that truly they use little, not that many vehicles for transportation. Those are the people that use our public transportation the most. But beyond that, it's in the downtown core that there's ample parking everywhere that off-street parking has or private garages has, that if people need it, they're not going to be parked in the streets. They're not going to be fighting one another to get a parking space. So I accept the
So to
amendment.
clarify,
Well,
Commissioner, I just want to make sure that I capture your change. It wouldn't be the DDA, it would be the Urban Central Business District, would be the better way to describe it, which is a downtown, super dense core.
The central
It's a
business-
defined boundary that
The
we have.
center business district is within the DDA.
Right, but that's the greater of the DD, you want the greater and not the,
That's
just
right.
the denser, okay.
Because there are buildings that they are outside those are the ones that are important, buildings that are outside the DRI.
Commissioner?
Since obviously I cannot speak to any commissioner before, and Commissioner Carollo seemed so amenable, so agreeable this morning. I don't know what the afternoon's gonna look like, but I know that now he's in a very good mood. Well, I would also make sure that the Omni CRA is also included in that because we have the same type of situation. If you're
Yes,
okay with
sir.
that,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Carollo.
Well, let's include that.
So we include the Omni CRA also moving north.
But these two areas.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Are set precisely for that.
Correct.
These are areas that have high buildings.
Yep.
They have ample parking in many private or city garages. Many of the people that live in these areas are the ones that use public transportation.
Yes, sir.
Unlike the inner city areas where we're having this problem, serious problems.
Madam Chair.
Okay.
Commissioner Russell?
Thank you. I got clarification from planning that the UCBD is not the CBD. The CBD is very small. The UCBD goes beyond the DDA, and I think it would probably be a better capture. I would also ask if you could consider NCD2, which is West Grove. Grand Avenue, Douglas, and that US 1 area is something we're really trying to get additional density without additional costs for affordability. And if that proffer would be accepted, that would be very helpful for that neighborhood.
Commissioner, is there any way then, I mean, these are like all mapping changes and things. Is there any way we could reset this then and get the proper descriptions for these three
No, I think, no.
areas?
I don't think we need to do that.
Well,
It's agreed
well,
by the
it-
body. You guys then can figure out what the boundaries look like. I think we agreed that it's the UCBD, that it's the Omni CRA, that it's the NZD2, right, District 2? And
Then can we have 5 minutes?
Well, wait a minute then. Should I include the Overtown CRA?
you could, yeah.
So let's
in
include the
case you can't-
Overtown CRA?
There are a lot of.
And the
old
Overtown
buildings
CRA.
there.
Yes.
So,
So,
those 4 areas are just.
So can we have 5 minutes then to look at all the maps and just make
In
It
sure?
doesn't
that-
matter. Once we pass it, you do the math.
In other words, there at Miami, we have in every neighborhood, we have buildings that they are very old. They never had parking, you see. And if they are going to be remodeled, if we force them to add parking, they will have to demolish them. And that's one thing that I want to avoid. Those buildings, the new buildings is what the one we have the problem.
Correct.
we have someone that would like to say
Well, he
something.
spoke already.
Yes.
Well, you
Excuse me,
did.
Madam Chair. Yes, I did speak, and I'm not going to speak again. I just wanted leave to submit this for the record, which is a letter that I sent to all of you commissioners.
Yeah, give it
Thank
to
you.
the city
Thank you
clerk,
so much.
please.
So moved, as amended.
Victor,
I
wait,
need all
but
the
we
names
want, we
then,
want, we
again.
want to be amenable to our city attorney. If she needs a little bit more time, please let's afford her that so that we get this right. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay, so could
So
you at
what are you
least
asking?
repeat all the locations?
UCBD, the Omni CRA, the Overtown CRA, the Downtown Development Authority, that has some areas that go outside UCBD, and District 2 NZ, right?
The
And NCD2.
UCDD goes to what areas, Commissioner Russell?
Yeah, I'm sorry?
The UCDD goes to what
The
areas?
planning department can describe it better, but it's basically greater downtown. It's more than just this tight
It's
corner.
more than just the DDA.
Okay.
Correct.
Greater downtown.
And the NZD2, which is, those are the 4 mapping
Hey,
things.
I'm concerned we're missing some where we want to be encouraging this type of development. The exception process, here's my concern. I want to be supportive of good parking policy. But what I want for the development world is predictability. I'm not necessarily trying to save them money or give them a gift, but if they don't have predictability, it slows down their investment. If they have predictability, they will find a way to make their profit. But by creating the exception process for everybody, I would rather tighten the rules and keep it in the waiver process versus the exception, because that means every one of those is going to have to come to here, and it becomes a political decision versus a policy decision that was already established. And so that's the only reason I have trouble with the ordinance as a whole. I want predictability so they can move fast and create housing fast under whatever policy we agree by the majority is the right parking policy.
Look, we have areas
That's right.
that are getting just killed by having no parking. And frankly, Commissioner, what bothers me the most is that if this is going to make such a huge difference, I haven't seen it. None of us have seen it. But you know what? The profits that smaller developers are making, it's quite significant. So I'm seeing this as a tool so that some developers can make more money, add more units without having to put parking, and we're getting the pain of it. I submit to you, come to my neck of the woods one night, go to Commissioner Reyes's.
All the on-street parking.
Yeah, and you're going to find that there's no parking in the neighborhoods. People are fighting to get parking spaces. And part of it is already built in, that we're stuck with it for whatever reason. Commissions of back in the 20s, 30s, would approve these little square, 3-story housing units that had 25, 30, 35 units with absolutely no parking. So if on top of that, we're going to be doing the same thing to get more units, it's just not workable. Because as much as we like in working class neighborhoods, because this is not New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, Boston, cities that have been established since basically the founding of our country, where they planned sufficient public transportation. We don't have that in Miami-Dade, where you could get someone from point A to point Z, and people still depend on their cars. And no matter what they tell us, until we built enough public transportation to connect people, we're going to have that problem. This is why this is one of the areas that later in the year that I want to revisit, to see at least within the city of Miami proper, we could create that public transportation to connect our whole city, and then probably encourage the county to take it from the end of Commissioner Reyes District all the way to FIU, and cut through Sweetwater to bring it to Doral, and maybe use it to go south in addition. But right now, what we have is not sufficient for anyone that lives, not just in the city of Miami, but in Miami-Dade County as a whole, to move around. You could use public transportation for a segment, but then what do you do? And this is why so many people in working class neighborhoods have cars, because it's not a luxury for them. It's a must to be able to earn a living and survive.
Madam Chair, I want to add
Commissioner.
I want to add to what Commissioner Carollo just stated. I heard all the comments say that this is going to curtail development and blah, 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 all of those things. I don't believe so. Developers develop. They're not going to become restaurateurs or anything. They develop, and that's the only thing they know how to do. They're going to develop. The truth of the matter is that every time that you use the transportation and people using public transportation as an excuse to build more apartments without parking, that is not real. We don't have a decent, not even a decent transportation system, mass transit system. And the other day I was talking to couple of county commissioners, and I told them, I said, and what we have to do, instead of trying to fight each other, no, I mean, let's eliminate parking. Let's build bike lanes. Let's build, let's make this a pedestrian and cyclist city. That's impossible. That's not going to happen. What we have to do is, and I think that all cities and the county will have to get together and develop a decent mass transit system. Then that will work, you see? And I think that it is the, I think it's the duty of all cities and the county that should take the lead, and we shall start, I don't know, sharing the cost according to what our size, I don't know, but work together and have an objective of developing a decent transportation system in Dade County. If not, I will agree with Commissioner Carollo. We will go a la Hialeah, which did the Conchitas, remember that? And we might bring a transportation, maybe a bus system, or small bus, or jitneys, whatever, within the city of Miami. But until we have a decent transportation system, we are not going to solve the problem that we have with traffic and parking. And we should concentrate on developing that system.
I call the question, Madam Chair.
Chair.
Commissioner-
Hold on. The city attorney has to read into the record the title for PZ8.
And Chair, who's the seconder? I have Commissioner Diaz-Urrutia moving it with all amendments, but I do not have a seconder.
Vice Chair. Is it second? Yes.
Second.
I just wanted to confirm then, by adding these carve-outs that were picked by the commission, these will stay as the law is right now, correct?
Correct.
Okay. An ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending ordinance number 13114, the zoning ordinance of the City of Miami, Florida, is amended more specifically by amending Table 4, density, intensity, and parking to change the method by which the parking ratio may be reduced within a transit-oriented development area or within a transit corridor from a waiver process to the process of an exception with City Commission approval, containing a severability clause and providing an immediate effective date as amended.
All in favor?
Aye.
Respectfully, I'm a no.
Motion carries 4-1. I understand that Mr. Winker is available via Zoom. If we can cue that up. Winker.
For what?
PZ 1 and 2. He was coming in the afternoon. He didn't realize we would complete the agenda so quickly. So he's not available to get here so quickly.
Hey guys, I'm here now if you can hear me.
Hey, Mr. Winker. I thought we weren't going to hear from you until this afternoon. Surprise, surprise.
Oh,
I'm sorry I'm not there now. I appreciate the indulgence, guys.
The clerk needs to state something with regard to Mr. Winker's appearance.
Good morning, Mr. Winker. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good morning, clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give at today's hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And your response is?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Winker.
you may proceed.
Good morning. My name is Ulysses Kemp. I'm here in reference to PZ 1 and 2. On PZ item 1, there was a resolution that Planning and Zoning had placed on this property on 6/5/2019, with an exception, and I would appreciate it if the zoning department can reference this Article 7, Section 7126 of ordinance number 13113, so that it can be understood what this exception is for and what they are granting. I was requesting that you read the exception of Article 7, Section 7126 of ordinance number 13113, the zoning code of the City of Miami, as amended. This is a resolution that you guys presented to the client with stipulations for property 20 Northwest 42nd Street. And this was an exception granted that they would be allowed to use it as a T3 with this exception that you guys granted, allowing them to park publicly, not publicly, but the personnel working there will be able to park there and utilize this, even though it's a Zone 3, that they'll be, Zone 3, that they will be able to use it as a 4 use.
Mr. Kemp, are you asking our city attorney to answer that or read something?
Well, this resolution was put in place by Planning and Zoning, and I just wanted them to clarify to everyone what this exception is so that we could understand what it is that was granted to them on this resolution.
Could we have a copy, pretty please? Because we don't know what you're referring to right now.
And Madam Chair, if it's helpful, I can clarify at least
If you know what he's talking about, that would be great.
Please.
So at about 2 years ago, when the Center Preschool got approved, they had enough property and enough parking to be self-sufficient on one site. There's a T3 property next door, which is under your consideration today as a rezoning from T3L to T4L. T3 and T4 both allow educational uses only by exception. We had to come before this body and ask for a special exception in order to be able to utilize the T3 property. And by the way, this preschool is a T4 property, so both of them had to come for a special exception in order to get approval for a school. I believe that's what Mr. Kemp is referring to. We got that approval. The T3 does allow it through exception, just like T4.
No, T3 did not allow what you wanted to use it for.
Hold on. Victoria?
We're waiting for the, do we have a?
We're making copies of the resolution.
We're getting a copy right now.
Okay.
Madam Chairwoman, I have a pocket item. It's just an amendment, a HUD rider amendment to the UNI project that we passed on 70th Avenue in the Omni area already. It's just for the covenant the city needs a HUD rider on. We can bring that up and just pass that out. It's just technical in nature. I think everybody should have a copy of it.
We have it.
Yeah, everybody should have a copy of it. All right.
Let me see. Go ahead, Mr. Snow.
Yep. So the exception was specific for the use that's there today. So that's what that exception was for, and there were specific conditions associated with that use request.
There was.
And what is happening today will not
So
run afoul of that exception?
that
The problem is that exception is allowing T3 to be used only because this is an educational facility that exception applied. And that's what I was told in 2019, and that was the reason why they allowed them to use this T3 for the staff to park there with several different criteria that they had to meet. However, my concern with this is that if in fact you guys do change this zone, they're going to still be allowed this same exception for the adjacent T3, which means that they can continue to consume the entire block with this exception as long as they keep presenting it next to a T3 to a T4. And that's a problem for the neighborhood because we're going to be in a big situation where we're just going to be overcome by this school. And that was one of the reasons why at that meeting in 2019, Mr. Rowe asked for a T4 and just said that, okay, we're not required, we don't need it, we're going to utilize the exception that the city is presenting to us, and that was how that went at that time. But obviously, they're forgetting the fact that this resolution was in place and that he also signed this, and I'm wondering why they're even asking for it and why the city would even allow them to get a T4. This is something that should never happen.
Mr. Snow, can you answer that
Yes.
question?
Right. So, Mr. Kemp is correct. There is an exception for the use, and within that exception, there are conditions that limit those T3 parcels for parking. Today, before you, is a rezone application for those parcels. Within that rezone application, the applicant has proffered a covenant to limit the uses that are allowed on that site. And that's what this covenant is for, to further limit those uses that you mentioned.
That covenant does not address the fact that they will not be using it for an educational facility, they will not be using it for any type of, that's not pertaining to this particular property. And because of the fact that the resolution and the exception only allowed them to use it for parking at the time, because of the fact that they were required to have additional parking that they were not able to supply. However, the residential property that was next door that they knocked down a building and utilized it for parking was an exception by the city. So if this is something that's going to be continued, the property next door to it, again, will be an exception that they'll be able to utilize it for the same reasoning, and they can consume the entire block, property by doing the same thing. The covenant that he's doing today does not have on there no educational facility, no school, no daycare. That's not in that covenant. And the thing is that you guys are grouping them both together, property 1 and 2, which they're totally different conditions. The Centner property and the Courtney property are two different situations. The Courtney property, I can understand what's going on with that one. As much as I really don't like to have zoning changed in our neighborhood, I'm willing to accept the Courtney property zoning change because I feel that would be beneficial to the neighborhood. However, the Centner property change that they're asking for, 20 Northwest 42nd Street, should without a doubt be denied. And that's based on the criteria that this was set up in 2019. Why come and ask for another zoning change? And before, on the last meeting, he said that I said that they would not be coming back asking for a zoning change. In the meeting, I never stated that. And I brought that to his attention after the meeting, which he agreed to. But before you guys, he said I lied. And I really don't like somebody to do that because I come before you, and what I state to you, if I can't prove it as a fact, I'm not going to fabricate it.
Mr. Snow, do you have anything on that? So what I asked was the covenant and this exception, does it run afoul to what happened in 2019?
So the covenant restricts the property further because there are more uses that are limited. Now, if Mr. Kemp is asking for additional uses to be added, then that's something that the applicant may consider.
Mr. Riley?
Yes, ma'am. So I just want to be brief, but I wanted to explain some items and address Mr. Kemp's concerns. So there are a difference between the Courtney covenant and there's a difference between the Centner covenant, and there's a really specific reason for that. The only difference is the educational component. If I covenanted and I said I didn't have educational on that T3 lot, then I would run afoul of the 2018 special exception because it allows us to have educational parking there, and we need that parking to operate the school. So that's the difference. Secondarily, Mr. Kemp said, if you grant the T3 to T4, then the next T3 will be rezoned. I haven't asked for a waiver of the 18-month period. We don't own the lot next door. If the lot next door came before this board, it wouldn't qualify for a rezoning. It doesn't meet the minimum requirements in your code of 200 linear feet and 40,000 square feet of land area. And I think that addresses the comments. I'm happy to answer any questions.
That really didn't address.
Mr. Kemp, is Mr. Winkner going to make because
Yes,
I've allowed
please.
you time, and
Thank
I
you.
need to
Okay.
allow
Thank
your
you, everybody.
attorney.
Okay, I understand. There was one other item on this form where he said he got the abutting neighbor's signature on it. The abutting neighbor has a power of attorney, which is Alan McPhee. The person that's signing the paperwork as the abutting is not the person who has power of attorney of the abutting property. I have a copy of his power of attorney, and that's not the same signature.
Can you enter that into the record?
And Chair, when you have a chance, I'd like to make a couple comments.
Please, can you make your comments now? Go right
Yes,
ahead.
ma'am. Good morning, everybody. This has been a long process, and we really think that this issue should be bifurcated into the two properties. The Centner and the Courtney building are very different, as you've heard. And what is happening here is we've been able to come to an agreement on the Courtney property. Not everyone's happy. It's a classic negotiation. He gave up some stuff. The neighbors gave up some stuff. And we are ready to move forward on that. The Centner, we've not been able to come to agreement. They have not worked with us on this. We've had no meetings with them. And we would ask that you guys deny that change. You guys were just talking about parking in residential neighborhoods. This school is going to consume a residential neighborhood. It's not right, and we'd ask you to deny it. And that is consistent with the unanimous negative vote at the PZAB. You know, your PZAB recommended a unanimous denial of this. And we'd ask that you respect that and you know, let's go back to the drawing table and see if the neighbors can come to an agreement with them. But we would ask that you deny that one and that you would approve the Courtney with the conditions that we've been able to work out with Mr. Courtney.
Madam Chair, I would like to call the question. Oh,
I'm just waiting to get the information that Mr. Kemp passed by. Mr. City Clerk?
Oh, so you would like us to make copies of what he's
Yes.
submitting into the record?
who's that little thing sitting over there? Yes? How are you? Who are you? Hi, welcome. Don't get into politics. You having fun? Good.
He only says that because he doesn't want competition.
Yes. Definitely give me some competition there, that's for sure. Abbott, where's Stanley's daughter? Stanley's daughter. I think she's in my office. Let her come over here so we can see her. Where's your daughter? Yeah. I didn't see you hiding back there behind Noriega, so I didn't see you. Are you protecting Noriega? They've been writing some negative stuff about him lately, so you have to be careful. Oh, Hazel wants, okay. That's why we need more sergeants. Now he needs protection too.
By the way, Buena Vista East Historic District asked me to also speak on their behalf because they're also in favor of what I'm asking for.
Mr. Kemp, they needed to be here. You can't just speak on their behalf. They needed to be here. I was also just advised by the city attorney that we can't pass the Courtney portion and not the Centner portion because they're all in one, so I can't separate the two.
There are actually two separate PZ items. There are PZ1 and PZ2.
No. Victoria, because I asked. Victoria, could you respond to that?
The difference, George Weissong, the difference between PZ1 and PZ2 is one is a zoning change and one is a land use change, but for the both, for the same properties.
It's the same thing.
I really didn't catch all of that. Excuse me, sir. The mic.
I did call the question.
What I was saying was there's PZ1 and PZ2. One is a zoning change and one is a land use change, but they both change the same properties. So they're not for separate properties, they're for the same properties. One's a zoning change and one's a land use change.
So we have a.
But they're
special-
different owners.
1 second, we have something a little bit more important right now. We have a special guest, Stanley's daughter. You can introduce yourself and say hello to the commissioners. That's our Madam Chairwoman there, Commissioner King, Commissioner Russell, Commissioner Carollo, and Commissioner Reyes. So introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Serenity.
I think that's where the real competition can come from, by the way. You happy to be here with your dad?
Yes.
Good, awesome. You having fun?
Yes.
Good, awesome. You look beautiful today.
Thank you.
I love your hair.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Welcome to Miami. City, Miami. Hi.
Everyone have a copy of?
Okay, so I called the question, I think.
Commissioner, there may be an amendment to what I told you. Just 1 second. I thought they were all two different owners and one property, but apparently there's multiple properties. So give one
Can
second.
I do my pocket item, my rider, HUD riders, to get that out of the way? Just do that and get it.
Let's finish this one up
Okay, all
and.
right.
This is 2005.
What a cutie, huh? Beauty. Personality.
Mr. Kemp, we just want to figure out what you're asking so that we can advise the chair appropriately.
Victoria, do you want this on the record or not?
No.
Now, someone is getting jealous, by the way, in the audience. I think there's someone over there is getting jealous in the audience, right? That he wants to come up and introduce himself to. So why don't you come up here? Add some levity to this beautiful process that we engage in. Come. Wait. Have a game of grape on my district. Oh, wow. This Pedro, so he's going to introduce himself. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Pedro, and my last name is Villa.
Pedro Villa, and you have something at Grapeland Park, right?
Yes, I have a baseball game at Grapeland Park.
Today?
Yes,
What time?
today. It's in the afternoon at some time. I don't know yet, but I know that it's in the afternoon.
Do you play soccer at all?
Yeah, I play soccer with my brother in the backyard sometimes.
Wow. So you're going to the baseball park over at Grapeland. It's my district, you know that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll pass by.
Okay.
If your dad gives me a ride, I'll pass by. How about
Okay.
that? Okay?
Yeah.
Welcome to the city of Miami. A big round of applause for him too, right?
Yes.
I love that innocence. I wish you had some of that still. When you get older, right?
So we can bifurcate it, we can take one and not the other.
That is a question for the city attorney, what she was going to respond to.
Victoria, you said you had an amendment to your statement? George, sorry.
Yeah, so just sort of globally, the initial application was for 3 properties, right? 19, let me read the addresses real quick. So there's 3 properties that are affected: 19 Northwest 41 Street, 20 Northwest 42 Street, and 4136 North Miami Avenue. The legislation as written is denying the larger property, which is 4136 North Miami Avenue, and approving 19 Northwest 41 Street and 20 Northwest 42 Street. What the intervener, Mr. Kemp, is asking is that you also deny 20 Northwest 42. So you could bifurcate the legislation if you find there's competent substantial evidence not to amend the zoning and the land use there, or you could just approve both of them. But his request is I guess, appropriate if you wanted to sort of approve and deny.
Mr. Riley?
And he's not a true intervener.
Yes, Madam Chair, and just wanted to, the city attorney actually reminded me I missed something in my presentation. So as a cooperation with the neighbors, we actually are supporting the denial of one of the Sittner's properties, the largest portion of the property, the one on the corner of North Miami Avenue and 42nd Street, 4136. We did that. We also entered into the covenant restricting 18 different uses on the property. But we do ask the commission to approve the smaller surface parking lot.
Okay, thank you. I believe my colleague had called to question 4 times. All in favor?
Chair.
I'm sorry.
Oh, there we
First,
go.
I need a mover and seconder. We also need to read both titles into the record.
I will move it.
I thought we had a motion and
I
a
thought I had
second.
moved it already and it was
Yeah,
a
I'm
second.
pretty sure.
So I'll move it. I'll move it.
Do I
Remember,
have a-
that motion was on 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we took out 3 and 4.
Okay,
So now we're just back to
All
a
right,
clean
so
slate with
so
1
I
and
will
2.
move it. I will move it.
Do I have a second?
Defer to the district commissioner.
I'll second it. I
Now,
don't have Commissioner, I need Victoria to read it into the record.
and are there any amendments?
There will be a modification to PZ2 and the substitution memo that was already entered into the record.
Can we check and see if Commissioner Reyes wants to be here for this vote? Come on. All righty.
Okay,
If
ready?
you're going to miss a vote, let it not be this one, please.
You have something?
I want to read the title.
Go ahead, read the title.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
PZ1, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending ordinance number 10544 as amended the future land use map of Miami Comprehensive Neighborhood Plan pursuant to small-scale amendment procedure subject to section 163.3187 Florida statutes by changing the future land use designation from duplex residential to low-density restricted commercial of the real property at 19 Northwest 41 Street and 20 Northwest 42 Street, Miami, Florida, and denying a change to the future land use designation from low-density restricted commercial to general commercial of the real property at 4136 North Miami Avenue, Miami, Florida, as more particularly described in Exhibit A, attached and incorporated. PZ2, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending the zoning atlas of ordinance number 13114, the zoning ordinance of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended by changing the zoning classification from T3L Suburban Transect Zone Limited to T4L General Urban Transect Zone Limited for the properties located at 19 Northwest 41 Street and 20 Northwest 42 Street, and denying the application for zoning change from T4L General Urban Transect Zone Limited to T50 Urban Center Transect Zone, open for the property located at 4136 North Miami Avenue. All as more particularly described in Exhibit A, making findings containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
Chair, you guys are aware that PZ board unanimously 8-1 denied both of those parcels.
Question has been called, I think.
Called, yes, and I believe that because of the withdrawal, the staff does support now, correct?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Right, okay. Call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
As amended.
As amended.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. I have my pocket item, which is
Can you, George, can you read the pocket item into the record, please?
Let me see.
Madam Chair, it's another Miami record. Not even 11:30.
I want to keep it in the morning. I've been telling her she's comfortable in her chair. We have lunch in my office, by the way, sushi and some cooked stuff for you, Commissioner Reyes, if you want something cooked. I have sushi in my office, but I have some cooked things for you. over
We
there.
have right after this meeting, the Overtown CRA meeting.
That'll be fast.
Oh, that'll be quick. Wait, the city clerk is telling me no, no, no.
It's noticed for, we were told 12 PM or thereafter.
It's noticed for 12 PM or thereafter, so we'll take it up right before the special meeting. Okay.
Get up like at 2 o'clock or whatever.
Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla, you're asking about a pocket item?
It's a pocket item, it's a rider clause for the UNI development
Right.
at the Omni
So
CRA.
that item, I had sent everyone,
Copy.
right, a copy of a subordination agreement, a HUD document that HUD is asking us to sign in order for HUD to fund the project. The UNI project located at,
17th Street. It's called the UNI project, the Omni CRA, which I know you were supportive of. Yes, that's it. This is not controversial. This is just a technicality. We can do it in 30 seconds. Is there any controversy?
right. So I basically said that if there was any objection by the commission, to bring it to commission, and if not, we would have the manager sign off on the subordination agreement.
Okay, that's it. Yes, it's a pocket item. It's just a rider clause for something that we already voted unanimously for, which is 17th Street and the Omni CRA. It's a covenant.
Great,
No,
right.
it's not the other one, no. It's not the other one.
Motion by Commissioner Reyes, second. All in favor?
Chair, public comment?
This item is open for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none? Motion carries.
Thank
All
you.
in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Right, noon, or we'll take it up right after the special. So the meeting is now adjourned. We will resume, what time is it? At 2:30, and we'll have the Overtown CRA meeting begin at 2:30, and then the special commission meeting. Thank you, everyone.